Welcome to Ode To Games. My name's Logan Plant, joined today by Zach Ross. Hi, Zach.
Hi, Logan. How you doing today?
Doing well. Kevin Valine's here. Hey, Kev.
How you doing, Logan?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I got a new game to talk about this week.
Whoa. We got some news to talk about. Also, we have a real Ode To. We're going to talk about our
Yeah.
favorite video game locations. An interesting rumor roundup for you. Let's get started, though, with the PlayStation investor call. A lot of news came out just this morning, right before we sat down to record.
Perfect
So let's
timing.
get into it. First up, Sony has announced a Horizon television series for Netflix, a God of War series for Amazon, and a Gran Turismo show that will be heading to an unannounced platform or network. So this was revealed in today's investor briefing. God of War series has been rumored for a long time. Horizon series is completely new news to us, and then Gran Turismo is also new. But we've been talking about PlayStation going into TV and movies for a long time. Of course, you have the Uncharted movie that just came out, and then you have the Last of Us HBO show in the works. There's a Twisted Metal series going to Peacock. Last of Us is going to HBO. So what's interesting to me about this, Kev, is that they're all just heading totally different places. It's not like, oh, HBO Max is the place to watch PlayStation shows. It's like they're literally on everything.
Yeah, I guess instead of doing a bidding war to get the rights to just all of Sony's IPs, it's like, all right, a bidding war for each one. That probably works out better for them because they have so many in the works that they can kind of divide it off and get deals for each one. Now the Gran Turismo series, I'm kind of curious how that's gonna go. I guess I don't know, just following like a driver as he works his way up to the
I,
top or
I mean,
something with some
Fast and
some
Furious.
drama in. But Gran
it,
Turismo doesn't really have any story at all.
that
It's not
could be
even
a
like,
good thing because
yeah,
the Horizon series and the God of War series, they're probably gonna have to pull from a lot. But with Gran Turismo,
I
they could
guess
really
that's
do
true.
whatever and just have like cool cars. So they got a lot more freedom, I would say, for that show. So
Better
maybe
be
it could
about
be good.
family.
Hopefully, any car show better be about family.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I'm very curious what that's going to turn out to be. But God of War and Horizon, I think those could translate very well over.
God of War interests me because I wonder if it's going to be about the original games and
Yeah,
the old mythology or the Norse mythology that are in the newer games of
Or
2018
neither.
and Ragnarok,
like
or not, or
yeah, they
neither.
could do something else.
But yeah, I think that God of War could be a cool show. Yeah, and Horizon, I wonder what they're going to do too. I wonder if it'll just be kind of retelling the mystery from the first game over the first season or something like that, or if it'll be different. Because what we're seeing with The Last of Us is that it's going to be pretty much an adaptation of the first game in season one, is what they've said. So curious to see if these other shows follow kind of the same format as they get underway.
Yeah, the ones that have more freedom, I'm honestly more interested in, just because I've already played the games. That's why you see news about the Last of Us TV show, and I'm just like, I really don't care that much. I love the games, but I've already played the games. It's great for people
Hmm.
who haven't played the games because then it's like, all right, great, like this is an entirely new series and a new storyline that I haven't experienced. But for someone who's already played it,
Hmm.
it's like, I mean, I've kind of got that experience already. So if they give some of these shows, Gran Turismo, opportunities to do their own thing and kind of make it separate from the video game property, I'm actually more interested in those.
Yeah, I agree. I am excited for the Last of Us show, though. I think that Pedro Pascal's an exciting pick for Joel, which is really the only reason that I'm excited for it. Other than that, I don't. I'll watch it. I don't
Casting is
really need to
important.
see it.
I don't
Uh,
know. Kratos. I'm thinking Idris Elba. Anybody? Knuckles?
Knuckles in a Knuckles outfit
Knuck-
as
yeah,
God of
Yep.
War.
wearing his Knuckles hat and gloves that you guys both have.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah. So yeah, ton of TV projects for
I
Sony and
mean,
PlayStation and
after hearing
movies.
about how well the Uncharted movie did in the box office, makes sense that they want to keep on going back.
Hmm.
At this point, it's very lucrative for them.
Yeah, that kind of fits right into this. Became it hit the $400 million worldwide milestone, becoming the fourth video game movie to do so, which means a sequel is probably pretty likely, which they teased at the end of the first one. Uh, I don't feel like the temperature check for us is super hot on an Uncharted sequel.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
You
Like,
why, Zach?
I
I
would go and
love
see
Uncharted.
it.
Yeah, I
I
would
want to
see
go
it
and
too.
see these, but
I
I would
wouldn't
be
not see it.
curious how well an Uncharted 2 movie does over the first one. How
Mhm.
many people went to see Uncharted and they're like, "Well, that
Give
was
me
fine.
more.
I don't think I need to see anymore." Like, I don't. I'm
Yeah.
kind of done with that. Obviously, we're super fans of Uncharted, so we'll go and see whatever it turns into. But yeah, I just wonder how many people went and saw that first one and have no interest in watching whatever comes next.
Hey, Kev, the Sonic movie is on Paramount Plus now.
That requires me to have Paramount Plus.
It's not gonna happen. But you could also watch the Halo show.
Just get a free trial. Watch the Sonic movie and cancel.
I could do that.
It's still 3 months away. We got to do our spoiler cast. It's
Oh,
already going to be stale, just like our other Sonic content.
yeah, but it's going to be stale now,
Yeah.
as it is in 3 months.
It's funnier if it's more stale later down the line.
When we pop out, and it's like, hey, finally came out over here.
Yeah.
Well, Uncharted came out on the same day, anyways.
Mhm. Yeah, so Uncharted 2 is likely. Also, Ghost of Tsushima, I don't know if I mentioned that one. That one's getting a movie,
Oh,
which is going to be an adaptation of the first game's story, which could be good, but feels unnecessary. For some reason, I feel like a TV show is better than a movie for these things. I don't know, maybe because game stories are so much longer than a 2-hour movie that it feels more apt to tell it over the course of a season or multiple seasons. But when
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is like this 25-hour game that we're going to retell the story in an hour and 55 minutes, I'm like, I don't know how that's going to go, because it's just going to feel really weird compared to how the game's pacing played out.
yeah.
Yeah, trying to
And-
extend that out into extending that out into a TV show works quite well, as compared to just trying to cram it all in. You know, Uncharted, that was kind of the issue, especially at the start, where they kind of just had to dump everything in and be like, all right, now we're going. Like, I'm not saying that that one necessarily needed a TV adaptation, but at the same time, it kind of suffered from being a movie, just especially at the beginning, where they just had to dump everything at you before getting to the actual plot.
Which is why I think the way the Sonic series is doing it is right, in that it's not retelling an exact story from a specific Sonic game. It's telling a very Sonic story, specifically in Sonic 2, that pulls elements from the series and kind of weaves them into its own thing. And I think that it really is good at towing that line of appreciating the source material but being original. Like when we went to that Uncharted movie, it was like, what is this? It's like kind of a retelling of Uncharted 4, but they change random elements to make it different. And then
put in Papa
Last of
John's
Us,
or Papa Murphy or whatever.
yeah,
Papa John's.
Last of Us is
Papa
just going to
John's.
be a retelling of the first season. And it's like you said, Kev, what's the point for people like us? I get that it's appealing to a much wider audience than just PlayStation owners who have played The Last of Us. But I guess I like it when they tell a story with the characters and elements of the games, but do their own thing with it. So, which is apparently what the Halo show's doing, to mixed results. I have not seen it myself.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of things on that, and
I've not heard good things.
People are all over the place on that.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. But
Paramount Plus.
I don't have Paramount Plus anymore. I canceled a while ago.
I don't think I've done a free trial. I'm good.
I only got it because they have all 40 seasons of Survivor.
Did you watch all 40 seasons like on a free trial?
No.
That'd be
I did
so
not.
impressive.
No, I paid for a few months when we were binging some old seasons.
Oh, okay.
But I have since canceled. But I will re-up when the Knuckles show comes out, because I do want to watch that.
Zach, you just have to wait until all of Halo is out, and then you can get a free trial.
I think it is. Is it not?
Yeah, is it all done?
It's over. It just finished.
Oh
recently.
wow, it just ended. Wow.
Yeah.
That didn't really make.
I think I'm good to wait until something else is on Paramount.
I didn't realize it was over.
Gets a little more of my attention.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep. So that is Sony's new plan for TV shows for God of War, Horizon, and Gran Turismo. A couple other stuff came out of this meeting, including the fact that PlayStation is preparing to invest big in new IP, saying by the end of the 2025 financial year, 50% of Sony's investment into PlayStation Studios will go towards the creation of brand new IPs. In 2019, that figure was 77% investment in current franchises and 23% in new ones. So that's going to be a more even split by the end of 2025. And this excites me because I always want to see new IP. I think new IP can lead to great things like Horizon or Ghost of Tsushima. But then I quickly thought of PlayStation's plan to launch like 10 live service games over the next 5 years. And I was like, okay, is it going to be these, or are we going to get big budget single player new IP also? And I can't decide what I think
That
about
extra 25% might just be those live service games, and they'll focus the exact same amount on new IPs that they were in the past. Yeah.
That would be the goal, is that if that's kind of just a supplement to what they're doing currently.
Hopefully
with
they aren't
their
focusing
single player
less. Yeah.
stuff.
Mhm.
But I mean, this makes sense for them with a lot of Sony properties, especially recently, because they are so story driven. They kind of have a shelf life to them. Like once the
Mhm.
story is over, it's over. I know that Horizon, they're talking about wanting it to be a trilogy, and then once it's
TV
run its
show.
course, it's done. Really, I mean, you could do some spin-offs here and there, but it doesn't seem like a lot of them are super gung ho about that. So
Mhm.
every generation or two, a lot of these studios seem to have to pivot and go to something else. So for some of these series, now is probably the time.
Yeah, thinking about Naughty Dog, pretty much every console generation, they get a new series. And the PS4, they did not. They stuck with Uncharted and Last of Us throughout that machine's life. But I'm sure we're going to see something brand new from Naughty Dog as an example this generation. And then, yeah, Horizon. I mean, Horizon 3 will probably be a late life PS5 game, so I don't know if we'll see something new from them. But then I look at Santa Monica, maybe after God of War Ragnarok, they've said that this Norse series is just a duology, so it's done after the second one. Maybe they make something new outside of the God of War franchise, but I do worry it's just going to be these live service games that don't particularly interest us, which would be a shame because I think Sony makes great single player games, but so many of them are very similar in feel. We've talked about it a ton of times on the show. The third person action adventure cinematic game, from Spider-Man to Ghost to Horizon to Uncharted to Last of Us to God of War, it all kind of fits into that same genre. It would be really cool to see them branch out into other things. Like Astrobot's a great example of something they have that is different, or Sackboy or Returnal. It is still that third person, but it's a roguelike. So to see them branch into other genres in single player games is something I would really like to see. That I just don't know if that's their priority right now.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to keep on rolling with it for as long as it's as successful as it was, because it was huge with the
Mm-hmm.
PS4, and I think it's still going strong now with the Horizon Forbidden West, and you have more stuff on the way, another Spider-Man game coming out, and another God of War game coming out. So I don't imagine it stopping now, but maybe closer to the end of the generation when they do have to kind of hit the reboot button on some of these studios. Maybe some of them will look to something else. Hopefully, that's not a live service game. I'm hoping that they'll have these studios that have already shown that they make really good single player experiences, keep them there, and they keep talking about expanding and buying new studios. I hope that that's where more of the live services come in, that you get a studio that's kind of their wheelhouse, that's what they're working on.
Yeah, Wolverine is technically a new IP that's coming sometime
Eventually.
from Insomniac.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
eventually, which will probably be very good. We also learned that PSVR 2 is going to have over 20 major games at launch. This seems like it will include Horizon Call of the Mountain, the Horizon Zero Dawn VR game, and also Among Us is probably going to come
Among
at
Us.
launch to
Wow.
PSVR 2. But yeah, this is a weird rollout for PSVR. If we know so much about it and don't know when it's coming out. And it's just a bizarre rollout. Like, you never see this. It's never like PS5. We are waiting to hear anything about it, and then they dump everything at once. PSVR, they've been loose lipped the entire time, but just haven't said when it's coming out. And to me, it's just a weird way. I know it's like a more niche peripheral, but it's still a weird way to roll out what is essentially a new console, a new piece of hardware.
It should still be a pretty big deal.
Hmm.
Maybe it's just that they don't know exactly when it's going to be coming out. Maybe they have
Yeah.
Maybe they have a window for it, but maybe it's a thing of like, well, at this point, why don't we just wait until we have a concrete date and then come out with that? Maybe if they do something over the summer, then that's when they have their big blowout and be like, here's a bunch of the games that are going to be launching with it. Here's the release date. Here's the price tag, and give us all of that. Then, but
Yeah.
we don't know because we don't know what their plan is for any showcases either. So,
Yeah. You interested in VR, Jack? PSVR 2?
After my experience with the first PSVR from your PSVR, I never owned one, but I've had my chance to play them, and I'm worried that I could get addicted to it. It is just so fun.
Yeah. I've been playing some Quest 2 lately. One of my friends has an Oculus. Or is it called MetaQuest now? Have they done that weird rebrand? Yeah, it has one of those. And we were playing Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, and that game is super fun in VR. So yeah,
I can imagine.
Yeah, the biggest. I mean, you guys know I haven't played my VR since I never got that dongle.
That's crazy.
To PS5, which is just a shame because there's stuff I still want to play on VR, but it is a pain to set up. So I'm looking forward to a simpler plug and play approach on PSVR 2. I would wait for a price drop personally, but it's definitely something I'll be following because I think that, this could be a big step forward after what really felt like kind of dipping their toe in with the first one. But I just want to know when it's coming out. I think it's weird that we don't know yet. When we know a launch game, we know the number of games in its launch lineup, one of the launch games, what it looks like, and not when it's coming out.
Or how much it is.
No,
two most important things.
It's gonna be expensive.
Yeah, it's gonna be very expensive.
Yeah.
All right, and then the last thing here, the last headline reads: Sony expects to be done with PS4 games by 2025. I think that just means that they don't expect it to be a big part of their revenue anymore by 2025. Game sales on PS4, because basically they had a graph representing their growth over the next few fiscal years, and PS5 was part of the graph, PS4 was a part of the graph, and PC was a part of it. And by 2025, PS4 just drops off the chart. So they expect to make revenue from the PlayStation 4 until 2025. That does not mean we're seeing cross-gen releases or new games on PS4 until 2025. Just means that's how long they think before PS4 owners either drop off completely or fully adopt over to PlayStation 5. But I think that target makes sense. That will be a incredibly long 13 years of relevance for the PlayStation 4. But yeah, we've all moved on, aren't spending money on PS4 anymore, but it makes sense that there'll still be some stragglers for the next few years.
I'm still buying some old PS4 games that haven't fully gotten PS5 versions. Like I bought Borderlands 3, Walking Dead Definitive Edition. Some things are just still on PS4.
It's a big library, and it's not like everything is going to come over to have a PS5 version. I mean, you could probably still buy it on the store, but it'll be the PS4 version. So I mean, it's still connected in some way. But yeah, as long as this isn't games coming out in 2025 for it, especially first party, then it's fine. Yeah, it makes sense. You're going to have some people that are going to be sticking with the PS4 for a while. I was one of those people, back in the day before when the PS4 came out. I didn't pick up a PS4 for 4 years after that thing came out. So I mean, there are always those people that are that take their time to get there. So that makes sense that you'd have that kind of support for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So 2025, that feels like a futuristic year still, even though
we're already nearly halfway through 2022.
Ugh. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Where's Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2? Okay. Completely unrelated
about that. I mean, it could
be
saying
it's going to come soon
because they're doing
get announced
doing a showcase for the
so
anniversary.
I saw that story that was like Square Enix to announce Final Fantasy VII news, and I was like, is this like announcing Sonic news once a month where it's like plushies and
for
it could be. I mean, it's an anniversary, so it could just be like anniversary merch, or they're doing one of those anniversary concerts or something. That is entirely possible. But could also be that they have something to say for part 2.
I hope so. It's about time. It's been over 2 years since the original came out. A year since the DLC. We've heard nothing. they expected the next parts to be churned out faster because they already had everything built. We'll see if that turns out to be true. But yeah, I want that. Something that does look like it's on track to come out this year, though. God of War Ragnarok was officially rated in South Korea, which suggests its 2022 release date could stick. It was rated 18 and over. Not a surprise. God of War always rated M over here in the US by the ESRB. So yeah, it seems like of the big three games that were supposed to come out this year, seems like this one could still hit. God of War Ragnarok could make it in 2022, which I think the fall lineup needs, man. It is a rough
what
fall.
is there?
Yeah. Oh gosh. I don't even know. There's Gotham Knights, which is not looking hot. It's supposed to come out this fall. You got a new generation of Pokemon. That is going to be a big deal. But other than that,
I mean, we were talking last week after the delays to Starfield and Redfall, like, man, Microsoft has nothing. It's not like Sony is, blowing things up with everything they've got. I mean, they have released more stuff over the lifespan of the PS5, but the rest of the year it's not crazy unless God of War hits, and then there you go, you've got your big game for the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, God of War 2 could be coming. Something else that could be coming. This isn't on our show doc. I just remembered it and wanted to talk about it. Norman Reedus leaked Death Stranding 2.
I was just thinking about this.
Yeah, he was in an interview talking about the final season of The Walking Dead, and the questions just came around to Death Stranding and his work on that.
Yeah,
and
we just started production.
Yeah, we just started
the
working
game's
on
done.
the second one. Yeah,
it's ready to go.
It's funny because this is a huge deal in the game industry, but in the movie industry, actors drop stuff like this all the time in interviews. So to him, it probably didn't feel like anything out of the ordinary to say, yep, enjoyed that project. We're starting shooting on the second one now. But in games, it's like, whoa, that's a major leak because it's such a secretive industry. And then Kojima kind of responded to the leak and tweeted, taking on the role of an angry parent, saying, "Go to your private room, my friend." So yeah, I think it's going to happen because Kojima didn't deny it. I mean, what else would he mean if he said we just started to work on the second one? Zach, you played Death Stranding. Are you excited for a Death Stranding 2?
I don't know if excited is the word I would use. I have mixed feelings about the first one. Hesitant.
Okay, yeah.
I'm probably gonna play it because I did have a good time playing the first one. Overall, I think I enjoyed the story. The gameplay was, hit or miss for a lot of people. I thought it was okay. So yeah, I think I will play the second one.
Did it set itself up for a sequel, or did it?
Not really.
No,
not really at all. But
okay.
I mean, I kind of get what they could do, and they're probably gonna do it. Well, knowing Kojima, it could be anything. I don't know.
Yeah, so we've got here Kojima saying that if he made a sequel, he'd start from zero. So there could be a lot of
so I probably have no idea what it's going to be. And I'm sure no one else does either.
It's going to be a Strand type game.
Norman Reedus will tell us in an interview.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Kojima kind of commit to this new franchise after the split with Konami and Metal Gear. He made Death Stranding, and I was like, okay, are we going to see a big new series, or are we going to see just a bunch of random one-off projects? And I guess we're going the route of the franchise, which I think it'd be fun to see new IP consistently from that new studio. But I mean, Death Stranding sold 5 million copies, so money talks. That's a pretty good number. So
yeah, see how well the next one does.
Yep. Yeah, cool. All right. Let's talk about the summer showcases. We are entering into event season, but Jeff Keighley is saying that there will be fewer third-party shows this summer, and that some companies will just feature at bigger shows, saying that, last year we saw a ton of shows like Take-Two, Capcom, Square Enix, and Keighley said, I think that they've learned if you're going to do a press conference, you kind of need to have 30 minutes plus of stuff, and sometimes they only have one or two great games to show, which may not be enough to do a full event around. So he's saying that there will be a bit of a shift in this, which, makes sense because we have Summer Game Fest, we have Xbox doing their thing, and I think this is going to be a lot better than the last two summers where we saw some showcases we didn't even talk about on the show because there was nothing worth discussing. So I'm excited to see some of these smaller presentations integrate into the big ones like Xbox, or if the Nintendo Direct happens, which it will, or Keighley's own thing. So I think this is good news.
Yeah, I the less of those filler showcases, the better. Some of those were just absolutely nothing, and I feel like sometimes they would have their games shown off at other showcases and then do their own and show the same things off, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, like
Mm-hmm.
just to show it off at the other press conference. So cutting out some of the bloat, having some of the big names do it, Microsoft, Nintendo, Summer Games Fest, I think that'll be a much easier way to go about it. And especially when you don't have E3 to kind of draw everything together, it's nice. It'd be nice not to have all of these different shows to try and keep track of. If you got, four or so big shows to watch, I think that'd be much easier, much more digestible for people if it's not necessarily in an E3 window week where it's a little bit easier to keep track of when everything is.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting so close, guys. We're getting like 2 weeks away from all
It's
this
going to be a
stuff actually
flood of
happening.
announcements. We're actually going to be hearing news and seeing trailers again. It's going to be good.
Mhm.
Sports Story's going to
Hopefully.
get that
Nope.
that launch.
Nope.
My prediction. I'm waiting for it to
Nope.
come true.
That would be awesome. You'll have to do our. We usually call it E3 predictions. I guess
We'll still
could.
call it that.
Yeah,
Sure.
Summer-
Sure.
We'll have to do that
Yeah.
coming up
Summer
because we
game
got
shows.
Xbox Bethesda and we're gonna have a Nintendo Direct probably that same week. So
I bet
Yeah.
Starfield is dropping this year. That's
They're
my
going to go
prediction.
back on it.
I'm
They
gonna
back
Excite guys.
Mhm. New Mario Kart tracks.
Oh,
That'll be fun.
yeah. That's exciting.
Yeah. Mhm. Okay. Not yet, though. It's a little too early for that. We're still in May. We're almost to the exciting month of June. EA is reportedly looking to be bought. They want to sell out, and some of the front runners are surprising. Could be Apple, Amazon, Disney, which, man, what would that even mean? What would even happen if EA was sold to a big company not in the game space? I think it could be really interesting. What do you think, Kev?
Part of me thinks that it wouldn't change too much because EA already feels a lot like those companies already of just
Mhm.
like, soulless, the way to describe it. And, I don't know how much that would change, but if they are bought by one of those companies, we've seen in the past some of these companies trying to get into the gaming space and they just don't know how to do it.
Mhm.
So if any of these companies decide to buy EA, I think they really need to let EA do what they're doing. Even if it's really despicable, I think it'd be worse if they decided to come in and be like, all right, this is how we're going to do things now, because we've seen some of these companies try and tackle games and it just hasn't worked really at all. Amazon has had some massive flops. Apple Arcade,
Mhm.
I've heard good things, but yeah, people don't really talk about it too much. It's got some good games on there, but I feel like it's very under the radar, even if it's a solid service. And then Disney with, LucasArts and everything, they've had a rocky past. But I think EA would fit in just right with any one of these companies. I think it kind of fits in with that persona that these other companies have.
Yeah.
EA could be selling. We'll see. We'll have to. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened this year. Honestly, if we heard about it sometime soon. You guys ready for our rumor roundup?
Let's do it.
Yeah, we got a decent rumor this
Juicy.
week. It's
All
not a rumor.
I'm excited.
It's news.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
That seems
Just
to
more
be
news.
the case the last couple of weeks. It's just news.
Did you get it from Tails?
But that's a good thing. That's a good thing when it's actually news. So this is from a recent Sega investor Q&A session where Sega's CEO Hiroki Satomi says that Sega has set internal targets for Sonic Frontiers review scores as the correlation between the scores of external evaluation organizations and sales is high in Europe and North America. If the game gets a high score, it can become a must-buy game and possibly generate synergy with sales. So we are currently working hard to improve the quality of the game towards its sales for the holiday season.
I saw
So
an
there we
article for
go.
this, and the article headline was Sega wants Sonic to get good review scores. And I'm like, of course.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
they, I don't think they've been going this whole time shooting for that sweet spot of like 65 to 72 on Metacritic. I don't think that's been the play,
That's
but
their
that's
goal.
how it consistently works out.
Yeah, but I'd be interested to see what internal targets they had for Sonic Forces. Because I feel like they knew they pumped that thing out with no content, nothing of substance, just to get the sales. So I want to know, like, did they have internal targets for review scores for Forces? Because if so, this means nothing. This means absolutely nothing if they
Yeah.
did. But if they didn't, and this is a new thing, because I don't know, I don't want to get too hyped, but it does feel like they're really treating this as like a new start for the series. It does really feel like that after 5 years off, after what Forces was, a new gameplay style, open world, next gen consoles, everything is lining up for it to be a new start. So, I mean, even the head of Sonic team, Izuka, said that he wants Frontiers to be the new adventure, which we have talked about on the show.
Yeah.
The same lasting impact that Sonic Adventure had, which really set the stage for what the next decade plus of Sonic games were after it came out. So we'll see. We got to see something from this. I'm hoping next month in one of these summer showcases, this game finally shows up.
It's got to, if it's hitting this year, it's got to show up within the next month. You know, within these summer showcases, whether Sega has something for themselves or whether they're one of those companies that has a bunch of stuff at other company shows, it's got to show up. If it doesn't, I can't imagine that it's going to come out this year, because we have seen one trailer with basically no gameplay.
Yeah.
A lot of rumors. No
A
trailer.
we
lot
have
of
had a
rumors.
lot of rumors. I need to see Dead Amy for myself. That's how I know it's going to get high scores.
Yeah.
But they do put a lot on those Metacritic scores. I remember a while back with those digital delistings of the games that were like dragging down the brand of Sonic, and it's like, man, that's like half the library.
Yep.
But they have put a lot of stock into review scores in the past, so this kind of makes sense.
I saw some Sonic 06 is coming back digitally.
Yeah, it got relisted.
Sweet.
That's just rude. Who are you trying to wring a few dollars out of with that one?
Us.
No, I'm glad it's back. I mean, we talk about wanting games to be available all the time, so I'm glad that atrocity is back, available for people to buy.
That needs to be boosted for Xbox Series.
Yeah, give me that frame rate loading boost.
Loading, good God. Just make it load fast.
Yeah, it takes like a minute and a half sometimes.
And there's like 3 loading screens. Go in, talk to the guy, loading screen. You talk to the guy, loading screen. Go in, finish the 2-second mission, loading screen.
What a
great game. Yeah.
Let's make a prediction right now. We'll write it in the show docs so we can retrace this. What do you think Sonic Frontiers Metacritic score will settle into? I'll say like a month after launch. So once all the reviews have rolled in.
I'm going to go with a safe 75.
Okay.
77.
I was going to go with an optimistic 81.
Whoa, okay. So I'm pulling up the rear. Logan has the front, and Zach, you got middle.
Comfortable middle.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it's gonna be below everything.
And it's 65.
Okay, you said 77, Zach.
Yep.
And then 75 for Kevin. Okay. It's logged in. Although 81 feels tough because I feel like even if it's a good game, some people will just drag it because it's Sonic, and that's the hot thing to do all the time.
Yep.
So
yeah,
we'll see. I don't know. Generations. What was Generations on Metacritic? Because that is a great game, and I want to know
80s
what that
somewhere.
Scored.
You would hope.
Sonic games do not
out of 10.
Do not really score too well.
The Sonic Generations is at a 77.
Let's go.
What?
I got it right for Generations.
So the best 3D Sonic game, our pinnacle, if we're talking review scores, which is not the end all be all for this, but maybe for Sega it is 77.
Man, there's some lame reviews dragging this down, which is what I said. That will happen to Frontiers also. Compared to Colors, Sonic Generations is a
Wow.
weak effort.
What?
Even taken as fan service, the game's wavering quality, lack of creativity, and meandering filler feels like it's stalling until next year's game. What did you play?
What game are they
What
stalling
Sonic
for?
Colors did you play? Sonic Colors is a fine game,
Yeah,
but it's got its own issues.
yeah. Yeah, that's a
Anyways.
60. That's a 6 out of 10.
Meandering.
There are way too few levels. Oh my gosh, you complained for years that Sonic games were stuffed full of crap you didn't want to do. So they finally released a streamlined, fun game, and then it's like, too short. That is the curse of this franchise.
And
No one will ever be happy.
It's
Yeah,
low quality and
it
short.
does nothing. Does neither well. Yeah. All right, that is our rumor roundup, and that's the news for the week.
All right. Zach?
Yep, that's going to do it for the rumor roundup this week. I forgot that we've been playing things, but we have been playing things. I've been playing some pretty old games. Logan, you've been playing some pretty new games. Kevin, I don't even know what you've been playing. So let's start with you, Kevin. What have you been playing? Oh, wait, we were talking about something before the show started.
So played some more Saints Row 4. But the big thing, I'm back in on Pokemon. Picked up
About time.
Legends Arceus. And granted, I haven't played too long, just a couple of hours. I think I'm just before the 3-hour mark. But it's fun. So far, it's the most fun I've had in a Pokemon game since Black and White, probably. Maybe the opening bit of Sun and Moon before it kind of got really stale was still enjoyable enough at the time. But it's just fun, and it's fun to have something different. The catching mechanic is great. They should have done this long ago. Being able to just go out in the wild and catch them on your own, just throwing stuff at them, and then being able to get into battle with them as well. Like, the freedom that gives is so good. And it actually gives you a reason to continue catching Pokemon, which, in the older games, it was just, okay, I've got the Pokemon that I want for my team. I don't really need anything else. I'll just kind of roll along. They kind of changed that a bit where you got experience for catching Pokemon as well. But this one goes the furthest into giving you incentive to catch the Pokemon, and it gives you incentive to play around with those mechanics. And it's great. The graphics are not good. They are not good. I just had an experience earlier where I was walking on top of like a mountain cliff area, and it's grassy on the top of the mountain, but you could see part of the cliff clipping through the grass. And so it was just gray on the ground. And as you walk closer, it kind of just slowly disappeared. The shadows don't look good. It's very blocky. You can see the pixels of shadows. The game needed more time, but the gameplay that is there is really good. And I hope that they don't abandon it, or that they don't take years to make another one like this and kind of go back to just the normal Pokemon games over and over again. This needs to be its own thing, because it is way more fun than the last couple of Pokemon games that I've played.
Yeah, it's like the exact same sentiment I had when I Elden Ring distracted me. Kirby distracted me. I need to get back into Legends because I've really enjoyed what I played. Exact same thoughts as you back when I gave my first impressions. Amazing gameplay. It is so fun to just like scroll through your Pokemon and then just like throw one out into the wild. Like, I feel more connected to my actual party of Pokemon than like ever, even in Heart Gold, where you just have like your lead Pokemon follow you. It feels like you actually use your Pokemon to interact in the world in a way that feels more meaningful than like using Cut or Waterfall ever did.
Yeah.
That's super cool, but I'm worried about Scarlet and Violet because I don't think that these catching mechanics are in that game. I think it is traditional. I don't think they're there. Just based on the very little we've heard.
I think that they're going to have the traditional style of Pokemon always there. I don't think that's going away. The thing I'm worried about is that they just completely abandon this. I think somehow it needs to be its own series. And the Pokemon Company, they're going to keep on pumping these games out. But this needs to be another pillar of what Pokemon is, because this is what I want. I don't want to go back to the way it was before. And it's actually challenging. I've had tough fights from like the 2 or 3 battles that I've had. They don't pull punches. Pokemon do serious damage here. Like, the levels are pretty close to what you're at, and if you get a super effective move against you, they'll probably knock you out one shot. Like you actually have to be a little bit smarter about it, and that's been fun. So I just hope that they don't. I don't think they're going to abandon it completely, but I hope we're not going like 5 or 6 years before we see like even a inkling of what's going to come next. Like I hope that this is going to be another pillar alongside the main Pokemon games. Those aren't going away, but
I don't think with Game
No.
Freak you ever have to worry about it taking 5 to 6 years to get a rushed product with the gameplay that you want.
it's just a matter of if they work on a game in this style at all.
Yeah.
Or if if this is kind of a one-off thing. I could see it being either of those.
Sold what, 13 million already?
It's a Pokemon
think
game.
that makes it pretty safe to say it'll come back. I would love to, honestly, like, I know you guys didn't love Diamond and Pearl, and it would be cool to see some more faithful remakes of some of the older games, but I like the approach they took here. Outsourcing the remakes to a different company, and then Game Freak itself is like, all right, we're going to take this region and make a Legends game. Like if Legends Unova is next for Gen 5, that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. People really like Black and White. There's a lot of lore in that region. I think that it would be fun to do a Legends game there.
Then I just know this time to avoid Black and White and go for the Legends game if they're going to outsource it the same way. Because Diamond and Pearl were not great. The more time that passes, the more I do not like those remakes.
I thought it was fine. I thought it was good enough. That's what matters.
That's where I was when I finished it.
I would like to go back and play more, but I can't find my copy.
What? Oh, wait. What do you
Logan's borrowing it.
Still? I thought you played it once and gave up on it.
Yeah, I still have it though, just in case I go back. Just I get that itch.
You're not going to go back. You still have to play Arceus. Anyways,
yes, I do.
That's really all I've been up to, and probably all I'm really going to be up to for a little while, playing that, and then when Strikers comes out.
Strikers,
Get
2
excited!
weeks.
Getting close.
Wow, that's way sooner than I thought. That really
June,
came up on
right
me.
around the corner.
I'm not even playing it. I have no interest.
You'll play some of it, I'm sure.
Negative. Well, yeah, on Logan's copy, but I'm.
Yeah.
Me, yeah.
I won't be buying it. I won't support Mario anymore. I've given up on him.
Wow.
What?
Don't worry. When they
hot
release another
take.
new Super Mario Brothers game, Zach is going to be first in line.
Day one.
For the bare minimum effort.
You
He'll
love
be there.
3D World. What are we talking about?
I haven't actually given up on Mario. I'm just being dramatic. I've given up
Yeah.
on Mario Sports. I guess that's close enough.
Hmm.
Unless there's like a bowling, Mario bowling. Is that a thing?
It's just Wii bowling, but it's Mario.
Yeah.
That's all I care about. Just make it motion controls and I'm there.
Yeah.
All right. Logan, I know you've been playing some stuff.
I keep playing Switch Sports, man.
Yeah, me
keep
too.
playing Switch Sports. Last weekend, I went and visited my parents and played with them. And we used to play Wii Sports all the time when I was a kid. And they had a great time getting back into it. They also struggled with the not letting go of the trigger in bowling, which
It
is
is
still
hard.
the most bizarre choice. But otherwise, it was fun. It was the first time I played with 4 people in the same room, and it was fun to play like tennis 4 people, volleyball 4 people, to not have to have any computers involved or anyone alone on their side. Was a super fun time. Yeah, I'm like over 10 hours in now to Switch Sports, which is more than I expected. It's just like I've been really busy lately and really exhausted after work and in the evenings. So I've just been like, I don't have the capacity to play Elden Ring right now. I'm just going to waggle my Joy-Con around for a few minutes.
Something simple.
Yeah, so Switch Sports has been a good time. But then I decided I felt bad. I was not getting my use out of Game Pass. So I picked up my Xbox controller, flipped it on. I went through the entire Game Pass library, and you can add things to a play later folder. I added 60 things I'm interested in to a play later folder. So
that's definitely not going to give you
Pass.
Choice paralysis.
I already have it.
Let's go alphabetically.
Zach, did you know that the entirety of The Walking Dead is on Game Pass?
It's not the definitive edition. It's the original ones.
Okay.
I wanted the new graphics.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it was only
It's actually dedicated
$15 for all of
Okay,
them.
That's a good deal.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I am playing a couple of indies. I have finally started Tunic, which I was very excited for when it came out, but just have been too busy to get around to. And It's really cool. It's a really, really cool game. It is very difficult, but it really just throws you into this world and lets you figure things out for yourself, which I've been super into lately. But the thing that's cool is that this game literally has its own language that it like all the text is written in this language that you can't read, and you have to like you pick up pieces of a literal like NES instruction manual throughout the world. So you're building this instruction manual on how to play Tunic, but all of the words are in this other language. So you have to like look at like these pictures that have the words next to them, and then you can kind of interpret what the signs mean. And I don't have enough of the booklet yet to understand really what anything means, but it's a really cool concept. Like I'm kind of piecing out where it wants me to go based on the pages of the manual I do have. The combat is simple but very difficult. It just has an attack button and a roll button is basically all I have right now, and its enemies hit extremely hard. It's kind of Dark Soulsy in that when you die, you do return to this campfire and have to go and pick up the currency that you dropped. I don't know what that currency is used for yet. I have not progressed that far enough in the game, but really cool puzzles already. The isometric angle has led for some like really cool kind of hidden corners and thing that you can work your way around to find hidden chests and things like that. But it's super cool. The music is really cool and atmospheric. The little fox is adorable. So I am enjoying it a lot right now. But it is hard. It is harder than I thought it was going to be leading up to release. Then the reviews came out and they're like, yep, this is a very hard game. So it's going to take some commitment, but it's cool and on Game Pass. And then something very easy I've been playing is The Artful Escape, which was one of kind of the most well-regarded indies last year. It is very Life is Strangey in setup. It's in this small town in what could easily be Colorado, surrounded by forests and mountains on all sides. And it's about this teenage kid, or maybe young 20s, probably young 20s, who is the nephew of this super famous singer who came out of this town, and now his uncle has passed away, and he is kind of expected to follow in his footsteps and play the music that his uncle always played, which is like folk music. But this kid just wants to play psychedelic rock, and so he's like grappling with trying to live up to the expectations the town has placed on him, while also following his own passions of the musician he wants to be. And it's really gorgeous game. The graphics are gorgeous. The music is gorgeous. It has choice-based dialogue. So it's really checking all the boxes of things that I really like in these indie games. So also on Game Pass, Zach, I think you dig it. It's really, really cool.
It's a really weird coincidence because I was going through Game Pass like yesterday or 2 days ago or something like that. And I stopped on this game and I actually clicked on it and read about it. And I was like, this looks really good. And I completely forgot about it until just now. But yeah, you're right. It did pique my interest. I didn't know that was a thing. I also learned about that just now. So thank you for that, Logan. I didn't know that was. I've just been cherry picking my downloads because I have very little gigabyte space.
Yeah,
it's time to delete Forza.
I think it's time to delete Forza and free up a ton of
your
space in my
entire
Series S.
system.
Yeah. I deleted Halo. That felt bad.
I can't tell yet if the choices matter in The Artful Escape or if it's just like what dialogue tree you want for that specific conversation. But there was a point where the bookstore lady was going to give me a book for free just because it was like, she was like, yeah, I'm going to gift you one free book. And then there were 3 different descriptions for a book and you picked one and then it zooms in on your main character's face and he's like, whoa, I just had an epiphany. And it's like, okay, is that going to change something later? So I don't know yet. I think it's a short game. It's only like 4.5 hours. So I'll probably have it knocked out by next week. But yeah, super cool. And rediscovering Game Pass because I wanted to play more on my Xbox than I have been. And yeah, there's a ton of cool indies that I want to play.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there. If I had that, there'd be a lot of stuff that I wanted to check out.
Choice paralysis, man.
60 games that I want to play on Game Pass.
That is a lot. We keep talking about backlogs, and that's games that we own. Then you throw in Game Pass, and that's a whole nother level.
Which there's almost more pressure to do because you're paying the subscription monthly, and they could leave at any time.
Yeah. If you own the game, it's like, well, I'll get to it when I get to it.
Like the entire Final Fantasy 13 trilogy I want to play is on Game Pass now, which is exciting.
You want to play 13?
Yeah, I've always been interested in 13.
That's the worst one.
People say it's like Final Fantasy 7 Remake is secretly the closest to Final Fantasy 13. And I was always interested in Final Fantasy 13 when I was a kid. So Those are some I want to play.
Gotta find time
But
before they
that's
take
like-
it off the service.
I know.
It's so long.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah. Is that it, Logan?
Yep.
Well, for me, just a couple older games. I decided to continue on with The Walking Dead after season 1. I finished season 1, which I don't believe I've talked about on the show. Still love it tremendously. Great story-driven game. It's hard going back to some of these Telltale games after playing games like Detroit Become Human, where the choices significantly impact how the story progresses. And in Telltale games, the choices, they may have some minor impacts going forward, and sure, there's a few endings, but they really don't have like drastically direct you throughout the story. It's more of just, sit back, don't be a jerk to these characters, they'll like you, and enjoy the ride. It's a nice compact story. And I know how to get the endings that I want, so I'm not really stressing about what choices to make. So I'm just having a good time, and I'm making some little minor dialogue changes that I've never made before just to see what would happen, because I've played these games a couple times through. So still very enjoyable, but yeah, those choice-based video games like Detroit Become Human have really spoiled us on the genre, because my god, was it varied in the ways that game could go. Everyone had a different experience. It's crazy, but I kind of get why it would be hard to make a sequel to a game like that, and why The Walking Dead kind of had to limit itself, because making a sequel where you could have ended up in so many different places is probably extremely difficult. I would assume
More or less impact than your choices in like Life is Strange, because that's
I'd say it's
honestly a
pretty
ton.
similar. I'd say it's pretty similar, on par with something like that, which is fine. I enjoy that amount of change. I don't think it's too limiting, and it's still a good time. So enjoying going back. And then I did have the urge to keep going after I beat it, so I did start season 2, which is my least favorite out of the 4 seasons, but I'm still enjoying it. My biggest gripe with that game is that I hate every character who isn't the main character. I just hate them all, but I guess they're written kind of to be dislikable, and you have to gradually make them like you and make them become more bearable over time, which I never have. They always just like start out not liking you. I'm like, well, screw you, I don't like you either, and then I just be mean to them, and then they never like me, and I wonder why they don't like me, because I'm just being mean to them. So it's this endless cycle of me not being patient enough to get them to like me. So I'm actually actively trying to get them to like me this time, and it's making them more bearable, which is making me in turn like the game more. So I guess that makes sense. And I'm already on episode 4, so almost done with season 2. They're not crazy long, 2 to 3 hours per episode, 5 episodes per season. So it shouldn't take me too long to get through the whole thing. And then I kind of want to get the easy platinum for the definitive edition, which means I have to play the Walking Dead Michonne 3-episode miniseries, which I don't care about. And that's like three episodes is a long time to
But
play a thing that
it's
you
a
don't really
dialogue
care
game,
about.
right? You just mash buttons.
That's true,
Right?
but
And then you get your platinum.
I guess
If that's what you're after.
It is what I'm after. So that'll be good. And then other than that, my friend who I played Bloodborne with back in 2019 wanted to do it again with a third friend of ours who has never played a Soulsborne game. So we're going back and we're playing through Bloodborne. They made new characters. I was just gonna keep my old character from 2019, who's like level 90, and I was just gonna be like really powerful and helping them through it. And then I realized that I had at some point started a new game plus. So we got to the point where I had stopped in my new game plus, and then the reason I didn't want to start a new character is because I didn't want to progress on my own save file, because I have other stuff to play. And I didn't want to play Bloodborne on my own time. I just want to play with them, and I didn't want to, have to fight every boss 3 times in everyone's world, multiplayer style. But I got to the point where I stopped playing my new game plus, and they can't come into my world and help me fight these bosses because I'm in a world that's much tougher than them. I'm in a new game plus world. So I decided to just start over and then catch up to where we are, because we've only had a couple sessions. And then I guess we are just going to have to fight every boss in everyone's world, and it's going to be fine. But it's fine because Bloodborne is a very enjoyable game. It's a lot of people's favorite of the Soulsborne series. It feels weird going to Bloodborne directly from Elden Ring, because it really feels like I should be able to jump. I cannot jump. So I feel
It's a
very
different
limited
experience.
to being on the ground. But yeah, it's easy to see going back the kind of formula that evolved into where Elden Ring is at now, because I haven't played a whole lot of the Soulsborne genre, but I have played Bloodborne, so seeing the similarities and how they eventually became how they are currently in Elden Ring is kind of interesting. So having a really good time doing that. We're not super far into it. Um, yeah, and excited to play more. And then other than that, yeah, more Switch sports. Obviously, the battle passes, unlocking cosmetics, really keeping me in. I like that. I like adjusting the way my character looks.
Keep bringing
Yeah.
you back.
Yeah,
Gotta
and it's
keep
just
playing.
fun. Yeah, that's it for me. I think.
All right, let's get to the Ode To. So this is
Oh yeah.
this came about from a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about Switch Sports, and by proxy, we were also talking about Wii Sports Resort, and we were talking about how with Wii Sports Resort, it created this world, Woohoo Island, for you to explore, not just in its flying mini game to explore the island, but just how it was featured in all of the other mini games and how it felt like a place that was alive that you could kind of explore and live in. And so we thought, all right, let's kind of expand that out and talk about our favorite video game locations that could inspire that same sense of feeling that Woohoo Island gave with just that feeling of a living, breathing place within a video game. So we each crafted a list here of a bunch of different places in a bunch of different games. I guess, Logan, I'll throw it to you first. You want to run through some of your favorite video game locations?
Yeah, Woohoo Island. I didn't throw on my list, but definitely should be on there. So I'll give a shout out to Woohoo Island. I didn't think of it when I was writing all these down earlier,
Really?
but
That was the
yeah,
first one I thought, because it was like, this is how we came about on this, I think.
yeah. So I'll add Woohoo Island to kick off my list. Yeah, we did talk about it a couple weeks ago, but just a super fun place to explore in all the games it's in. Pilot Wings Resort, actually just flying around the whole thing.
Yeah, it was
Just
fun.
remove the 2-minute timer, and that would be way
Yeah.
better. Give me a free fly.
How did
But
that thing
yeah,
not have a free fly?
I
don't
know it's insane. But yeah, it's really cool. And every game it's in, Wii Sports Resort, Mario Kart 7, the 2 tracks that are on Woohoo Island are pretty awesome. And then, yeah,
Smash
Pilot
Bros.
Wings. And Smash, yeah, it's a
Yep.
great Smash stage also. So I
One of
do
my
love
favorites.
Woohoo Island. But then I'll get into my original list that I had. Rooftop Run / Spagonia is the region that takes place, and that's the Italy-based level in Sonic Unleashed that would later return in Sonic Generations. I have always loved that place. It is just a gorgeous level to run through the city streets. You run through like a cafe, you run up these buildings, a clock tower. In some iterations, there's like a festival going on, so there's like confetti and balloons everywhere, and like hot air balloons that like dot the background. There's a Team Sonic racing track of this place too that is my favorite track in that game. So yeah, I've always loved Rooftop Run, and the music is outstanding. Also,
Yeah,
it's always been
Rooftop Run. Got
my favorite
quality
Sonic
music.
location. Then I have a trio of places from Zelda games here. I picked my 3 favorite places in the Zelda series:
Good pick.
Windfall Island in Wind Waker, which is the second main island that you go to.
We played Wind Waker.
We did start Wind Waker.
We didn't even talk about that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, we're simultaneously playing that now. We're playing it together. Yeah,
Yep.
It's still great.
Still my favorite.
Outstanding. But we're in Windfall Island now. We just got there, but it's a super cool place. There's like a school. You have to like round up the rowdy students. Tingle is there. You get the bombs there. You return here a few times throughout the game. It's just a super chill place. That's one of the iconic locations of Wind Waker. I always wanted to live on Windfall Island when I was a kid. I was like, it would be so cool to live here, just surrounded by ocean on all sides on this tiny, cool little island. Yeah. Terrytown, which is the town you build yourself in Breath of the Wild, that side quest that you have to recruit all the people whose name end in Sun to go work for the Bolson construction. And then the theme song evolves as you bring more and more people into this place until it turns into this like sweeping symphony by the time you complete it. And I love just how they designed this. The shrine that is the closest to Terrytown is on this huge hill across a lake from it. So you have to warp to this shrine, and then every time you just paraglide down into Terrytown. And I just always loved that. It's the only place I shop. You can shop anywhere. I always go to Terrytown in Breath of the Wild because I love that side quest. I love how that town turns out, and it's really cool. Just like on this huge pillar and there's just nothing around it, and I really like it. And then Skyloft, the main town in Skyward Sword. It is to me the highlight of Skyward Sword. I really love the opening town. A cool Knights Academy. The Bazaar is cool. If you want to complete all the side quests, which I did, I 100% of that game, you have to go into everybody's home and get to know all the townspeople. And again, when I was a kid, I'm like, I want to live here. I want to live in Skyloft and have a giant bird that I can jump off the side of this island
So
and call my bird.
dangerous.
Possibly not have them show up and fall to my death.
Yeah.
No, then there's knights that are always patrolling that will say.
Yeah, but how could they really be on top of it 100% of the time? Would they really catch you every time you
Some
fall
got to
off?
slip through the cracks, right?
I mean, seriously, you would think. Yeah.
But it's a super cool town. I really like Skyloft, and there's some cool twists in Skyloft throughout the game. I like a temple that you end up actually having to complete on Skyloft, which is cool. So yeah, those are my 3 from Zelda. Fortree City from Pokemon Sapphire, really random one. When I was like 6 years old playing Pokemon Sapphire, I'm like, I want to live in a city of tree houses. And there's a really good store in Fortree City where you can buy the plushes to set out in your secret base. And then that whole region, that whole kind of like, because this is the part of Hoenn where it's like a straight line up and then it's Fortree City and then it's a straight line down. So it's just up in the north with nothing surrounding it. And that straight line down after the city, there's this really cool lake, and there's this bush. I always made my secret base on this lake. So that just whole kind of region is just extremely nostalgic. And I've always picked Fortree City as my favorite Pokemon town. You guys like that one, or is it just like random?
I know. I remember exactly which one you're talking about. I don't remember having a particularly special attachment to it.
I thought Fortree was cool. I forget the name of the other one, but the one that's kind of like built on floats on the water.
Pacific Log?
Yeah, Pacific Log,
right.
whatever that was called. That was one of my favorites too. I thought that was super cool, of just like walking between these like floating buildings. Hoenn was cool.
I love Hoenn. It's my favorite region. Yeah, I love the geography of Hoenn. Then we got New Donk City from Super Mario Odyssey. I debated between putting this one on and what's the one that we really like, Kevin? The Industrial Forest one. I can't remember the name of it right now. But the one with the robots and the overgrown, the whole overgrown area. But I went with New Donk City because it's just so iconic. It is just such a fun playground. It has so many moons to find. One of the best moments in that game is when you complete the main story of New Donk City and do the festival. The music is outstanding. I love the little short Mario walking around among these normally proportioned humans.
Not weird at all.
Yeah, the underground part of it's cool. It's just all cool. It is just the best Mario location to me. It is so fantastic. New Donk City is great. Libertalia from Uncharted 4, the ending portion of that game, the lost city that you, spoilers, find because it's Uncharted. Love Libertalia. Gorgeous. It was my laptop background for years because it's just super pretty and really cool and is my favorite part of my favorite game. I love Libertalia. Then Toad Town from the original Paper Mario, just because when I was a kid and not good enough to understand how to play games, I would just hang out in Toad Town. I would just run around Toad Town and just do nothing. And so it's just super nostalgic of just booting it up, hanging out in Toad Town and doing nothing.
Thinking back to those old gaming memories as a kid where it's like you have no idea what you're doing. And then you go back and it's like, wow, I have 40 hours in this game and I didn't do anything. What?
Yeah. And then Porto Valor from Dragon Quest XI. It is the town that opens up the gates to the ocean. It is the town that Sylvando's dad lives in. Has the casino, white buildings, gorgeous place. I want to live there. I love all the towns in Dragon Quest XI. Had to pick one to put on here, and that's the one.
I love, what is it? Hoto Village? Hoto Village, the one where they all speak in haiku. That one's so cool. But I would agree that Porto Valor is the best city in that game.
And then real quick, I just thought of another one I'll throw on honorable mention. The city from City Trial and Kirby Air Ride is really cool. And I hung out there when it triggered when Kevin said childhood gaming memories. Because I just dinked around in City Trial for like probably 50 hours of my life, just doing nothing, running around in City Trial. There's a volcano, there's a forest, there's a river, there's skyscrapers, there's just so much random stuff to do in that place. I saw what you just had.
I also saw what Kevin just
Oh,
said.
it's an actual like addition because we're
I
talking about childhood
honestly,
games.
I honestly considered it.
That's it for me, though. That's it for
oh.
me. But my favorite of all of them,
Oh, yeah, pick your
Oh
favorite.
wow,
probably New Donk City is probably my favorite video game location of all
not
time.
Four Tree City.
Fortress City
Oh,
numero uno.
yeah.
Yep.
I just sometimes I'll boot up Odyssey just to run around New Donk City because I just think it's so cool.
Here is Odyssey 2. God,
I want it.
I want it so bad.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go next. Woohoo Island was my first one because we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago. I just think it's so cool that not only you can fly around and explore it that way, and you can get all those information sections where you can learn about the island, but then you can go do all the other mini games and go to those same locations, but in a different perspective. I always thought that was super cool. So there's that. Probably my favorite open world would be Stillwater from Saints Row 1 and 2. I've talked about it before, but I think just the level of detail that they went into with explorable areas is staggering for a game that came out in the first one came out in 2005 or 6 and then 2 came out in 2008, I think. But having like a fully explorable airport, like the interior, not even needed, but it was just there. There was like an underground sewer system that you could go and explore, like in caves off of the water. Like the level of detail that they went to for Stillwater that wasn't even necessarily needed was super cool to me. And it's something that I wish games did more of. You know, the later Saints Row games, the Grand Theft Auto games have never really had that level of explorability. And I want to have that experience again in a different world. But Stillwater is really cool to me. Camarocho, Zach, you want to tag team on this one?
Yeah, absolutely. This was the one that my mind first went to when we were talking about our favorite video game locations, because I could probably go around Camarocho blindfolded at this point. It's been the main location in practically every Yakuza game.
In every, I mean, every Yakuza game is either there exclusively or there as one of the main places, and then you have like, you know, other
it's in
places
Like a Dragon
as well. Yes, it is.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
It is. Although I think Yokohama is more fleshed out.
It is
in that, but yeah, I don't think there's a video game world that I have just burned into my brain like Camarocho is. Like I know where every street corner is, what businesses are on each one, where the pawn shops are, where the arcades are. Like
sometimes I'll just walk.
Well that I've been to the place and I kind of knew where I was.
That's funny.
When I went
sometimes
to Kabukicho.
You're just walking past a building in a game and you're like, this building has no bearing on the game you're currently in, but 3 games ago it's like that building was very important. And you're like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, just the level of detail and the fact that they stick with it for so long, but they make it interesting in each game. They add new things in for you to do. I also love how in the later games with the Dragon Engine, you can just run into buildings and like knock stuff over and break glass, and you know the level of ability to just go into different buildings and mess with stuff has always been super fun. But yeah, Camarocho is probably the one video game world that is stuck in my mind to that level that I can just remember basically everything that's in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good. Delfino Plaza from Sunshine. Sunshine was a big part of my childhood growing up. A lot of rage from the secret levels, the floodless levels. But when I got too stressed out with that, I would just come back to Delfino Plaza and just fart around, especially when you got the different nozzles that you could unlock for just the Delfino Plaza. I would just blast around town with the little speedboat nozzle. I forget what it's called. There's the rocket nozzle and the boost nozzle. I don't know what it's called, but I just had so much fun romping around with that and jumping across the buildings. And, you know, it's one of those things where I don't think I could go back and have that same level of fun. But as a kid playing through that, especially when the main game got too hard, you could just sit there and just run around for hours.
And, yeah, I liked Delfino Plaza a lot also. It's funny, the floodless levels are the worst part of Sunshine, but the best part of Halo.
Wow.
Huh?
I get it. I love
nice,
it.
Nice
But I like
there.
the flood. I like the flood though.
Nice joke there.
The flood.
Fair.
I've got 2 from Thousand Year Door. I've got Glitzville, I think that is just like the coolest location for a
Mhm.
place of just getting in this hot air balloon and going up to this floating city that has a massive wrestling ring on it. It was super cool. One of my favorite locations in any game, and my favorite location in Paper Mario. And then I had to throw Rogueport on there just because it doesn't feel like a Mario area at
It
all.
does
When you
not.
have all these criminals running around and you have graffiti on the walls and trashed houses, and it feels like you're playing a different game, and that's why
Mhm.
it's so cool. Like it does not feel like a Mario game at all, and I haven't had that experience since. Rogueport's been it, really.
Rogueport, the main thing I remember is the very beginning when that Toad drops her contact lens and
Oh,
she's
yeah,
like really
the cook.
ticked, and then if you move, no matter where you land, you step on the contact and you break it,
Yeah.
and then you have to play the cooking minigame. Yeah, great pick on Glitzville and the Glitz Pit. That was I almost put that on mine, and I saw it on yours. I'm like, I'm not going to take that away from you. That is such a good pick. That's the best part of the Paper Mario series. Shout out to the train and the
Train was
Pigwood
cool too.
Detective
Yeah.
because that section's awesome. Also,
Shout
You
out.
could pick
God,
most
Thousand Year Door
locations
is
from the
one of the
Thousand Year
best
Door
games
and
ever.
even some from the original Paper Mario. God, those worlds were
Mhm.
so good.
Yeah.
What happened? Last couple, Pelican Town from Stardew Valley, another place that's a little bit smaller than Kamurocho, but I know that place so well. I know when everything opens and closes. Um, but yeah, just a super calm place, and it's always fun to talk to the villagers and get to know all these people. And I like that it's quite compact. I felt like with some of the later Harvest Moon games, they really were like, "Hey, let's just have the farm area where you go buy all your seeds way over here, and then you have the town here, and you just had to like walk all the way over." I like the more compact nature of Pelican Town, but I think it's really well designed. It's not too big, not too small, and it has everything that you need pretty close by, and it's quite memorable. I like it a lot. And then last, the one that I threw in at the end, Bikini Bottom from Battle for Bikini Bottom. Uh, the amount of time that I spent in that world is insane. The amount of time that we played that as a kid with my friends growing up, but that was more so just watching the show growing up and then having a artist's rendition of what it would look like. Because in the show, you just have these random places. You're like, all right,
Hmm.
the Krusty Krab is somewhere, and SpongeBob's house is somewhere nearby, I guess. But it was always super cool to me that it was just like, hey, this is, maybe what Bikini Bottom looks like. You've got their houses here, and you walk up the road, and then you have the police station, and you have where the Mermalair is, and you go down a little bit farther, and there's the Krusty Krab. That was so cool as a big SpongeBob fan to be able to explore kind of an idea of what a real Bikini Bottom would be. And yeah, I just
Yeah.
spent so much time in there when we couldn't get past some of the tougher levels. But love that world. So good. All right, Zach, you want to wrap us up?
Yes, I've got some we've already talked about. I've got Woohoo Island and Kamurocho off the bat. Two very fantastic and well-known areas that we've already discussed. And then after that, I've got Twilight Town from Kingdom Hearts 2, the opening area, similar concept to where I was just a kid. So I spent a lot of time in the opening area, like the tutorial area. Fell in love with it. Absolutely gorgeous. Love the clock tower with the oranges and the yellows, the Twilight aesthetic. And Lazy Afternoons, the song that plays, is one of the only video game songs I go back and listen to all the time, just constantly. And it's very nostalgic and I love it a lot. And also Destiny Island from the first game. Uh, love it a lot. Don't love it as much as Twilight Town, but still deserving of a spot. And then I've got Astera from Monster Hunter World, which is a very, very cool location. It's the main hub area of the game. I think they're usually villages, but Astera is more like a base for the Fifth Fleet. It's kind of buildings. It's a bunch of ships repurposed as buildings, and it's very vertical. There's lots of stairs and like an elevator, and it's super super gorgeous. And like some of the ships are flipped upside down. It's just really unique. It feels like for a hub location in these Monster Hunter games, from what I've seen. So and spending a lot of time there with the hundreds of hours we've put into Monster Hunter and Celiana, which I don't like as much, but still very good. And then I've got Haven Springs, which is
Good pick.
the town from Life is Strange: True Colors, set in Colorado, based on the real world town of Idaho Springs in Colorado. Not in
Colorado
Idaho.
Springs?
No, it is not. It is
There's
Idaho
multiple springs, and one of them is Idaho?
in Colorado.
That's
And
confusing.
I always thought this town was, super gorgeous. I love the small town surrounded by mountains aesthetic. And going around it in True Colors, I thought was just very, very pleasant to just stop and take in the surroundings. So like that one a lot more than I like Arcadia Bay. Couldn't even remember what it was called. Yeah.
Or I-5.
Or I-5.
What, the
And
freeway?
You basically in Life is Strange 2, you basically go from Seattle to Mexico from
Yep.
north to south.
Okay, so
Mhm.
you
actually
are
on
just on
I-5,
I-5.
but-
You're just going down the corridor. Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of places. And then I've got, of course, Libertalia. My favorite location in my favorite game, Uncharted 4. The pirate haven that you find at the end of the game, super cool. It's just a 300 some odd year dilapidated, overgrown pirate utopia that's full of skeletons and old buildings that are falling apart, and mansions and gorgeous architecture that is all just destroyed. And it's absolutely gorgeous, and it leads to some very, very cinematic and very cool set pieces that really finish off a near perfect game in my mind. So of course it had a spot. And then my favorite Sonic level, Seaside Hill from Sonic Heroes and Sonic Generations, as well as a level in Team Sonic Racing. I think it's called Whale Lagoon or something like that. This one, of course, Sonic Heroes was the one I played as a kid the most, and of course it's the first level because
As a kid,
that
game's
it's hard to get
brutal.
through some of those levels.
You
as a
didn't
kid.
pick Rail Canyon?
I didn't. I did not pick
Spirits
Rail
unite.
Canyon.
Oh God.
Yeah, but I've always loved the music and the look of the waters, the stone and grass platforms surrounded by the water. I've always thought it was super good. And in Generations, it's just gorgeous. Great game. I'd say at least an 8 out of 10. Sonic Generations.
Sonic Generations.
Not Sonic Heroes. No, I'd give that one like a 77.
Whoa.
Whoa.
I'm dropping a fat 6 on that one, I think.
That's just me. And then the last one was a late ad when Logan was talking about Four Tree City. I just decided to put in my favorite Pokemon city, which is Goldenrod City, from Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I've always liked the big cities that you get to in Pokemon around the 4th gym badge. I think it's Saffron, Goldenrod. I don't remember the one in Hoenn, but I think Hearthstone in 4.
Hearthome.
Hearthome.
Yeah.
Is there a one in Hoenn, like a big where there's like a tower that with like a shopping mall?
Oh, where is this? The shopping mall is the one on the coast, but that's not necessarily a big city. That one's actually pretty small.
Big one. Yeah.
I've always liked those kinds of cities in the Pokemon game, and I really love the music from Goldenrod City.
Slateport is the big one.
Slateport. Right. Yeah. Slateport is pretty big. Goldenrod had the Game Corner, right?
Mm-hmm.
That music is so good.
Yep.
I think it was Heart Gold and Soul Silver had like on the Poketech or whatever your watch was or something, it had the ability to play like old music from the previous games, and I just put the Goldenrod Game Corner music on. That thing was so good.
Yeah, I love that city a lot. And I think that's everything I had on my list. Nice. There's plenty of other locations that I love, but this list can't go on forever.
No, we do have to wrap up. We've been going on a long time. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Corneria, my favorite stage from Smash Bros. I'll throw on as a last minute ad. I sometimes would just hang out on that stage as a kid with
I like the
two
Mario
fake
Kart
human players. Just stand there.
I like the Mario Kart stage in Smash. That's my favorite one. Not the I don't remember. What's the one that I like called? There's two.
Mario Circuit.
I like Mario Circuit.
So just the very basic one.
Yeah.
Mario Circuit. All right, that's going to do it for us on this week's episode of Ode to Games. We're here on Thursdays or Fridays, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, odetogames.com for the audio version, youtube.com at Ode to Games has the video version of the podcast, so you can check it out there. We're on Twitter at Ode to Games. You can send an email to odetogamescast@gmail.com. For Logan and Zach, I'm Kevin. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next week.